Hello and welcome to this channel update slash Kings of War Ninth Age general wargaming discussion. Just kind of wanted to get a video out there and talk about a couple of different things that have been on my mind, even though I haven't had a lot of time to get games in and do battle reports. Wanted to say I've got a break coming up in a couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to playing at least 2 or 3 games and getting at least one battle report up and out there. And if anyone in the Seattle area has a painted demon or Night Stalker army, I'd love to play against it as part of a narrated battle report series. So let me know. But beyond that, looking forward to eventually doing a lot more videos, a lot more consistently. But I think it's going to be they'll be a bit more sparse for the time being. But it's been great to see people still subscribing. I love to see interest in the hobby, and it's still building and going, even in the middle of winter here. So a couple of things I just wanted to talk about. I'm interested how other people feel about this. First issue was Ninth Age, and I've been kind of looking at some battle reports and just watching some commentary on Ninth Age, and it did remind me of a lot of the things I miss about Warhammer. And I've been loving Kings of War, and I think, in my opinion, it's a better rules system and a better just tactical game where you feel like this general of a fantasy army that's trying to outwit and outmaneuver your opponent. But that being said, Warhammer had immense character. And I think this was possibly one of the flaws, was that the character could bog down the game. But man, every army was super unique and so dripping with individuality and character for the most part. And I kind of miss that. That when you combine that with the higher end quality of the miniatures that they were producing, not towards the end. I hated the direction they started to go. I feel like the models were getting too big, too flamboyant and busy. I really liked. I think the dwarf models were fantastic that they did near the end. The old wood elf models that were released in late sixth edition, like those dryads. I mean, they're still releasing those. Those were fantastic sculpts. So that level of quality just inspired you to want to paint and dive into that world. And then that combined with the amount of backstory and literature and substance was pretty great, and it really did add to the experience. Ironically, once you got to the game, all that would bog it down as every unit had multiple special rules. So I kind of, looking at Ninth Age, I looked at it several months ago, and only briefly and barely, and it looked like they were going the opposite direction that I think the game needed to go, where complexity was being added to address issues rather than removed. And I don't know if they've switched since then, and if you know, put it in the comments. But I think customization is important, and that's a strength that Warhammer now Ninth Age has over Kings of War. But I think, from my perspective, the real strength it had was character and background. And I hope that they can find a way to infuse that character into the game and into the armies while stripping away some of the unnecessary and overcomplicated rules. That's what I would love to see, as well as reaching a stopping point. Hit a point where you say, this is it. We will look at this again in a year, but these are the rules. We're not doing any more updates. And I don't know. I'm curious how other people feel about that, because me personally, knowing that it's constantly changing and being updated makes me just want to stay away until it's done. And on that note, I'm also curious, for people that are embracing both games and playing Ninth Edition while also playing Kings of War, I'm kind of curious how that's working. If the models really are interchangeable, or if you're finding that some armies are if this army is your Kings of War army and this army is your Ninth Age army, or if you really can go back and forth. Because when I started doing Kings of War, I did a little bit of multi-basing, and I was really like easing into it with this thought that Warhammer might come back, and I've got to make sure that my elves can still be a Warhammer army, and I want to be able to play both. But as I really dove into it, I quickly just started multi-basing them, and I don't, even if I play Warhammer, I think I'm just going to play multi-based and track the wounds, because I can't imagine using individual models for massed rank and file fantasy battle game anymore. But I know I was tentative about making that switch, but I hit a point where I was like, okay, nope, now this is primarily a Kings of War army that I might at some point use for Warhammer instead of the other way around. So I'm curious how that dynamic works for everyone else, or if it's pretty much the same thing. And on that note, I want to talk about the possible future of Kings of War. And just it's kind of something that's just been spinning around in the back of my head as I've been diving into it. It's very obvious, reading the Kings of War rulebook and looking at the game, that it is designed as this like backup Warhammer game, and it's meant to be like the alternative option almost. And I feel like it's the main game. It's the only real like mainstream mass fantasy combat game there is, and I would like to see it really own that mantle. Now, this is very recent, and I was really impressed with how quickly that Uncharted Empire book got out there and hit shelves. I mean, they put pretty much every Warhammer army into their fold incredibly quickly. So this isn't meant to be like a insult on their company's ability, but I do, looking at the future, I feel like I'd like to see, and I'm interested if this will happen, more like standardized basing. Because if you look at monstrous infantry, an infantry troop compared to an orc-sized infantry troop, compared to cavalry and monsters, they've at least specified what everything is, which was great, which Warhammer never did. But it's, if you don't know that it came from Warhammer and was designed to be this like, here's some cheaper models you can use for Warhammer, and we have our own game. It must be really confusing why regiment of monstrous infantry is 120 millimeters by 40, and then a troop of infantry is 100 millimeters by 40, and then what is it, like cavalry's 125? It just, why have these little differences? And of course the answer is because they wanted you to be able to use your Warhammer models, and as they sold the models, they sold them individually so that you could use them for either system. And I'd really like to see them embrace multi-basing, because I think most people who've dove into Kings of War have. And by embrace multi-basing, I think I mean a couple things. One, packaging the units as a multi-base, not little 20 by 20 millimeter bases so that you put 20 guys together, but one 100 by 40 millimeter or whatever the size is base, and assuming that the default approach is going to be putting them all on the same base because it works so much better. That'd be one aspect. The other would be standardize the base sizes. So instead of 125 millimeter wide for cavalry, 120 for monstrous infantry, and 100 for infantry, just make it all the same. Make it squares and rectangles. Be a lot cleaner and just make more sense. And also make it not so damn annoying to buy bases through, those sites where you get the pre-cut bases, because it's like, okay, well, let's see, how many infantry are at man size, how many infantry are orc sized, wait, am I going to do cavalry? Man, it'd be nice just to be able to get standard sizes, and it would just make so much sense. I guess it's a pet peeve of mine that there's just these little inconsistencies. And the last part of that is the characters, the individual characters, especially the human size and orc size guys on the little 20-25 millimeter bases, drive me crazy. It never bothered me in Warhammer because they had to be that way so that you could just plop them into a unit. Well, they can't go into units in Kings of War, and I think I'll fight to the end to keep circle bases out of the base game and the regular rank and file, but it just would seem so natural to put characters, especially individual characters, man and orc size and even mounted, on circle bases. You could easily identify them on the field as characters, probably with inspiring, but automatically you would just see that shape and know characters, and it would just look better. I just think to have these, and it's sometimes hard to even fit them on, just give them a slightly bigger circle base would be so much better. So, and I also, I guess the one other direction I want Kings of War to go would be higher quality models. It's hard. I'm torn on this. I love how affordable Mantic's miniatures are compared to what we're used to with Games Workshop, and it's tough because, like I said, the high quality of the Games Workshop miniatures instantly inspired you. It pulled you into the world. It made you want to paint and play and be a part of it. And there are some Mantic models do that. The zombie miniatures I think are really good. There are a couple others that are really good, but by and large they don't have that same inspiring impact. But would I want that at the cost it would be associated with? I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. So, I guess I want them both, but I'm not 100% sure which would be more important. So, I guess that's my take. That's my perspective at this point on Ninth Age, on Kings of War. I kind of tried to set Kings of War aside for a while and focus on other things out of necessity, and I am having a hard time staying away. I'm really getting eager to jump back in and play some more battles and do some more battle reports. So, like I said, hoping to get at least one battle report out a couple weeks from now, and then further down the line, get out a bunch more. And I really want to do the standard battle reports, and then also continue to do the narrative battle reports also, because those were a lot of fun, and I really loved combining those story elements. So there you go. Please add your comments. I'm just kind of really interested what the community's vibe is on this, and what things are like in your area, and how the war game hobby is feeling right now. It's been a little bit of time since the big bomb dropped with Warhammer just dying. So yeah, let me know. I hope you enjoyed my my personal rant, and I'm looking forward to doing more videos. Thanks. See you next time.